Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 3. So we are getting closer and closer to the premiere of Superman and Lois's third and, hopefully not final season, which we know has some fun stuff heading our way, with not just one, but two big villains being confirmed, one in the form of Bruno Mannheim alongside Intergang, which could be, technically, if you want to put it, two separate villains, because they are two separate entities, but they are spoken as if they are one, when talked about in like promo stuff and, interviews from last season leading into this season. So we're going to count them as one. And then we, of course, had the recent announcement of about a month and a half ago, roughly, of Lex Luthor heading to Superman and Lois this season, which is pretty exciting. Now, though it wasn't confirmed in the casting information, it wouldn't surprise me if Bruno Mannheim and Lex Luthor are connected as well, whether it's intentionally working together and it was planned, before Bruno's plan of action, or whatever you want to put it is, put into action, or if it's just something that develops over the season, just like, hey, maybe we're better if we're working together or something like that. Or if they're known to each other and then their plans just align, so it's worth connecting to each other to take on Superman. But when it comes to Lex, it does seem like we are getting a much grittier, much darker, and just more brutal Lex than we've had in recent iterations, both on the TV side and the movie side as well. And the casting of Michael Cudlitz in the role does sort of line up with this alongside the description of the character that came out when he was cast. And while these two villains offer some tense drama scenes and manipulation and everything like that, one thing they don't, at least at the base level, when it specifically just comes to Bruno as a person and Lex as a person, is muscle and powers and action stuff against Superman. Now, of course, you would expect Intergang and their weaponry to be an issue for Superman throughout the season, but you would think it would only last so long into this season and the story of that actually being an issue for Superman and taking on. So the question does have to be asked, is there a more muscular and threatening and powerful threat waiting somewhere in this season for Superman to face off against that is working for either Bruno or for Lex, or maybe both of them if their plans do align and they do connect up at some point this season? Now, it has to be said straight out of the gate that we know that the character of Atom Man will be in this season of Superman and Lois in what appears to be a recurring role, whether it means consistently throughout the season or just 2 or 3 episodes, we don't know. With this, of course, reprising the role that we saw in the season 1 flashback episode, which showcased Clark Kent's early days of Metropolis as he steps into that Superman persona. Now, we know that this character of Atom Man is in episode 1 of this season based off set photos, and the actor only confirmed about a month ago or so, it was around the time that Lex Luthor was cast, that he had wrapped up filming for this season, which I don't know what episode there would have been on at that point, maybe 8 or 9. But of course, the rest of this season of this show is still filming. They were on episode 11 or 12 at this point, but the last episode that he apparently filmed was 8, 9, around that region. So this Atom Man character will be a recurring muscular threat for Superman, but you wouldn't think they would be that big of an issue for Superman this season on the level of a big bad. More of just a consistent pain in the ass. So if there is to be a secret villain, hiding, if you want to put it, within this season that could provide those larger action scenes that you would expect from a Superman show that we saw in season 1 with a character like Tal-Rho, and then season 2 with a character like Bizarro, and that could also potentially connect to both Lex or Bruno, who could it be? Well, let's actually go over a few options. I have 3 here, which I think would really work and I could see actually playing into the show. Now, the first option is Metallo. Now, we, of course, have seen iterations of Metallo in the shows like Smallville, as well as Supergirl, and I could really see this character not being attached to Bruno necessarily, but I could 100% see this being attached to Lex Luthor and LexCorp or Luthor Corp, whichever way it's going to be on the show, just through general experimentation. Now, obviously, in the comics and in various iterations, it is kryptonite that's embedded within the character, which of course is going to be a massive, weakness against, or weakness, a strength for Metallo, but a weakness for Superman when they go up against each other. So you'd expect that to be the case as well. But we do know that Superman and Lois loves to sort of, have some twists here and there when it comes to certain characters. So maybe with Metallo, we do know that X-Kryptonite is a big part in the show, so maybe it could be something alongside that. Now, the issue with that is that X-Kryptonite would, if it infected Superman, would technically make him stronger, but we don't know how it would be used, and maybe Metallo in this instance doesn't really radiate off that ex-kryptonite energy, and it's more just embedded completely within himself, so it obviously makes him very, very powerful rather than just being someone that's been exposed to it like we've seen in the previous seasons where people were like inhaling it through like the inhalers and stuff. Like it's actually embedded within their system and it's like a power source for them. So that can be pretty overpowered. Now, if it is the ex-kryptonite side, they could easily link it to Bruno Mannheim as well, because my theory is that Bruno is the one that's behind the ex-kryptonite operation that we've seen in the past couple of, like specifically season 2. So that wouldn't surprise me. Maybe if it's the more, you know, faithful and comic accurate just base kryptonite, it's connected to Lex, but maybe if it's ex-kryptonite, it's connected to Bruno. That's probably a wait and see. Now, the next one is a bit of an out there one. It would be, you know, you're relying on VFX. Now, this is Mongol. Now, this could be like the attachment in the show to Intergang's alien weaponry rather than Darkseid. So in the comics, the Intergang's weaponry comes from Apocalypse, you know, where Darkseid's from. So what we could see is that it's actually some stuff that has to do with Mongol. So maybe this could be in a character that Superman versed X amount of years ago that was, you know, put into some sort of prison to contain themselves, but the weaponry, the alien technology and stuff was left behind, and Intergang was the one that went after it and used it to build all their advanced technology. We could see something like that, because I would be quite shocked, to be completely honest, if there is any connection to Darkseid, just because it's such a big character, and I could see them just trying to avoid that side of things. So using a character like Mongol would maybe be an easy route to go. The issue, as said as before, is like if they have a fight there, it's very CGI, but they could still make it work pretty easily, as long as it's not like a ridiculous amount of close-ups, and maybe if this is like only like a 1-episode thing, not a consistent thing. But this is something I could easily see happening on the show, and it'd be a smart way to have the Intergang technology still connected to like aliens and like a specific, you know, race or person or figure, but not connected to Darkseid at the same time. And the third option out of these three that I think are pretty likely or have like a decent chances is Cyborg Superman. Now, this could be very similar to Metallo, but a mixture of that cloning side, potentially, depending if they really want to include Hank Henshaw or not. I don't think they would. I think if they did Cyborg Superman here, it would like just really be like a clone of Superman, but like on like obviously a cyborg, you know. The issue with this is that we've had last season when we had Bizarro, where it was once again Tyler Hoechlin playing a different role. Would they do that again this season? And I think it really comes down to how big of a role they would need like a bigger figure to be. Would it be like the big bad, or would this be like a 1 or 2 episode thing? If that's the case, I wouldn't mind it being Cyborg Superman, and it just looks like Tyler Hoechlin. Now, there is no evidence for any of these characters of Metallo, Mongol, or Cyborg Superman appearing this season. It just feels like there needs to be that muscular side, that actual threat for Superman to fight against. We don't have that, especially if you remove Intergang completely, and even then, they're just usually normal dudes that have alien weaponry, which, you know, can be an issue for Superman, but he, you know, should be smart enough to work around that. So yeah, I don't think Cyborg Superman would be a bad option. They can even do something meta, where it's like, say, like another actor that's maybe played Superman, or from a Superman show that plays that character. But Cyborg Superman could be something that I could definitely see like Lex Luthor doing potentially. But once again, it's probably like a flip of the coin if any of these actually do happen, because it depends what the story of the show wants to be and what the show, you know, really wants to show us, if that makes sense. Now, there is one thing which some people might be bringing up to themselves, going, well, hold on, Paige, you got this character here who can do this, and that is, of course, Lex Luthor with his exosuit or his super suit, whichever way you want to put it. Now, that is a solid option, but it really does depend what type of Lex that, you know, is that we're dealing with on the show. Like, would he have had this thing, or have they already done that in the past and like it's been destroyed by Superman? We don't know exactly, but it wouldn't be too much of a surprise if they did have something like that. Now, once again, there is no evidence of this happening on the show. There's no set photos of like an exosuit for Lex Luthor or anything like that. However, it's not like the show wouldn't do something like this with an exosuit, because we have Steel, we have John Henry Irons, we have Natalie Irons, we have both of their suits there. So there's an example there for him to make something like that. And of course, this suit was like based off the technology from the Lex Luthor from his Earth, like the other Earth that was destroyed or like taken over by the evil Superman. So we could see something similar to that on this Earth, and a bit of like a doppelganger situation in regards to the technology, but just more in that Lex Luthor style that we've seen from the comics. So that could be a definite option there. And as I said, it does seem like this Lex Luthor might be a bit more grittier and darker and a bit more brutal. So him with this type of suit could be pretty damn lethal, and you wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of it, even if you were Superman. But as I said, they are coming to like the close of filming for this season of Superman and Lois. They're in their last couple of episodes, so you never know, there might be some stuff that's seen on set that might confirm or deny some of the stuff we've talked about in this video. But as I've said, it just feels like this season is missing that muscle side of things. Now, as I said, we did have the Atom Man stuff. We don't know what has been, because Superman and Lois doesn't get too much stuff put through in regards to set photos and everything like that. So we don't know what's happening this season. There might already be this muscle that we're requesting, that it might already be in the show, and we just don't know about it. But these are some options that I could definitely see being put into the show if they needed that. So it is a wait and see, but it's only, just under a month from now until it comes back. So yeah, not too long to go now until we hopefully find out some stuff that's going on this season. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on all the stuff we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.